the day in the life of a clerkship student. What is that? How does that happen for you each day?
My schedule is substantially different from any one of my friends. They know this about me. I love to be involved. I like to do a lot of things, but I also love to have a lot of fun. I like to enjoy my life and make sure that for me, medicine does not define me as a person because I'm so much more outside of it as well. I am Matthew, who happens to be a medical student. So that's how I try to live my life. And I've done that from pre-clerkship up until this point, is that I always make sure that I have to get my school stuff done first. That is my priority. That's what I'm here for. With my other time outside of that, then I can kind of use it how I want. So for me, this is a caveat. My schedule is very different now than it will be when I'm on something like surgery or OBGYN. So I'm only speaking about what my schedule was like during psychiatry and currently family medicine. I already did peds, but that was a pretty busy schedule. But so that's my little caveat, is that's what my schedule is like now, because it's pretty light. But in general, I'll get up for work. Right now, I'm on inpatient family med, so I'm there from 6 a.m. until about noon-ish, depending on how many patients we have. So as soon as I get home from my shift, then I start my study plan. I have a study plan that I've set up for myself. I complete all of my UWorld questions within 5 weeks out of my 6-week rotation. So that way, my last full week can just be MBME practice exams. So I do questions every single day, Monday through Sunday. And when you do that, you don't have to do as many, and it makes it way more palatable. I also do 10 questions every week of step 1 material, so that way it doesn't leave me, because as Jonathan and I talked about previously, you cannot forget it. We can't. We still have to study for step 1. And so then after that, after I do that, then I will read up on any cases that I wanted to do. I will fill out my case logs for the day. I don't want to wait to fill those out until the end, because I've heard horror stories of people finishing out 50 the night before the last day of the rotation. I refuse to do that. That gives me too much anxiety. I get mine done day of. I did 14 today on my first day of family med because we saw so many things. A single patient can give you 4 case logs because there's just a lot of chronic comorbidities. So after I get all of my case logs done, then I can pretty much just choose how to spend the rest of my night. I'll either play video games with friends, I'll watch TV. I'm also an Uber driver, so I do that a lot just to make some extra money on the side. I also own 2 businesses that I run, and I actually just started another one with one of my friends a couple days ago. So I very much have a lot of time on my hands, but like we talked about, it's adult learning. You are responsible for how you learn, and if other things mess up how I'm going to study, then those will be put on the back burner because I am a student. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I still want to be able to enjoy the life that we have.
Can confirm things will change in surgery. As Matthew was saying, it depends on the rotation you're in. So I started out with the 2 hardcore ones, surgery and IM. And then I went to psych. And I was like, oh, okay. You get a lot of, knowledge and all that fun stuff just in a different way. But it's like surgery and IM, you're showing up at 6 a.m. and then you're not getting out. Surgery is 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., sometimes 6 p.m. There were times in IM that I got there at 7 a.m. I didn't leave till 7 p.m. And then, psychiatry is completely outpatient based. They're like, 9 to 3. And you're like, oh, okay. So it was a lot of learning how to kind of go with the flow in terms of study plans. I have a study plan. It's a flexible one. Yeah, that's the key to 3rd year more so than the first 2 years, is you have to be flexible with it because things can change on a dime. Right. During surgery, you have 1 day a week where you're on call if you're in the OR, and you're on call till 10 o'clock at night. And if they call you in, they call you in. And so you could be knee deep in, a bunch of 20 questions. I try to do 20 questions a day. You could be knee deep in 20 questions, and the attending will call you, be like, hey, we have a, emergent appy. We need you in here. And you're like, oh, okay, great. So that's kind of the day to day. Kind of like what Matthew was saying at the start of every rotation. So it's our first day of family. At the start of our rotation, I set out my study plan. I'm also with Matthew. Do your case log sooner rather than later. I did 7 today. It was great. and I'm doing them at the clinic. Like I will not leave the clinic until I am done with my case logs. That way I don't have to worry about them when I get home. Sometimes, if I really want to get home, then I'll go home. But for the most part, I try to get my case logs done in clinic. And then I can go home. But yeah, set up study plan, do that. Case logs sooner rather than later, but it depends on the rotation.